artwork is by Duncan, and that's inspired by our famous wonton soup recipe. And the cookbook kicks off with a dedication to our volunteers. So we really wanted to let the volunteers know how grateful we are to them. So you can read a little bit about that, and there's some background information on just what inspired us when we came up with the idea to create a cookbook. There's lots of great breakfast recipes in the beginning. We had little funny titles like, this is the bread and breakfast section of the cookbook. So there's granola, there's pancakes, carrot bran muffins, there's bread recipes, orange date muffins, all kinds of great stuff. In the soup section, there's quite a few recipes, everything from really delicious tomato chowder through to mushroom barley soup, squash and garlic soup, and our president's wife Cheryl gave her famous clam chowder recipe. So definitely worth trying. And there's some salads as well. One of our members, Kay, gave us some of her very famous recipes for chutney. So there's all kinds of really, really cool chutney recipes in here. Cranberry chutney, which would be amazing with a holiday dinner. It's certainly the cranberry time of year. The main event and a side or two, there's lots of really great recipes going on here, like one pot cheesy Mexican lentils with black beans and rice. That's like comfort food at its finest. And you can see some of Duncan and Laura's art here too. So there's like pears by Duncan, sharp knife by Duncan. And then I know I've got some of Laura's sweets here too. I'll find them. There's a whole section filled with desserts, drinks and desserts. So you can see Laura's artwork here. It was an interesting idea, and it came from our other coordinator, Dawn, who said to me, we should try to come up with some way to connect everyone during the pandemic. Well, we can't see each other, and she had thought a cookbook might be a good idea. And initially I thought, well, yeah, I think that is a good idea. I'm not sure we'd sell a lot of copies because everyone goes to the internet these days for their recipes. But I thought, well, but it could be a fun way to connect the members. So we started to work on gathering recipes from all of our members. And we said, let's make it about comfort food. Let's make it about all the delicious things you like to make for your friends and family that bring back good, cozy memories and just give you that feeling of comfort, knowing that the pandemic was such a difficult time for everybody. And so the recipes started to pour in, and they kept pouring in well past the original deadline. So I think in the end, it took maybe twice as long to make as we thought it would, but the recipes that were coming in were so phenomenal and delicious that we just couldn't stop. So that's sort of how we got going. And we thought, well, maybe we can give copies of the cookbook to our volunteers, because every year we try to come up with an affordable gift that really expresses our appreciation to our volunteers. There's over 20 of them, and they're really dedicated and have been with us a long time. So we thought, well, maybe the cookbook could be their gift, and then maybe we could have a few extra copies and sell them to the few people who might be interested in buying a cookbook. And that's when it really started to take off. We were absolutely blown away by the number of copies we sold.
It was a delight to be invited to do a few sketches of familiar items in the kitchen that perhaps may match up with the recipes that were created. A lot of the recipes are very special because they come from, 2 or 3 generations sometimes of the pie that grandma made, or the turkey gravy that grandpa couldn't eat because it was too salty. But anyway, it became a cookbook, and I was quite amazed when it all came together, and it looked just like I thought it would, and probably one of the more imaginative projects around the Lower Mainland of what people did, and especially stroke people did, to while away the time of COVID-19. One of the neat items that came out was a a fortune cookie, which amazed me. Do we have any fortune cookie recipes? I don't think we do. There's a stock pot and a bowl of soup with the steam rising from it, and but everybody has a stock pot, and that's where all good recipes begin, where you just cook things down. And stocks are one of my favorite things to make them work for soups and stews and gravies and what else you need. And often I freeze them in ice trays and have little cubes of them, so you can just make a quick gravy to go with the mashed potatoes.
First heard from Susan that we are going to put together a cookbook, and initially I really wanted to submit some recipes because I love cooking, but I was nervous about putting together the recipes because I still have to work with my recovery with numbers. So I thought, okay, I better not do that because I might make a mistake. Maybe I should try to see if I can do some drawings. And I'm not an artist either. I never even tried before the stroke. But I started as part of my recovery of my right hand, which was paralyzed at the beginning. But the first exercise I was doing with a physiotherapist was to try to spread the fingers out. And as I was doing that, I realized that I can actually draw with my left hand very easily. And just every day I trying to do this using my right hand, putting on the table and then tracing my left hand. So I thought, oh, I can draw with my left hand, which was interesting. And then gradually over the month, I started to actually trace. So the first things I could do with my right hand was to just connect dots and then try. And at the beginning, I could barely hold a pen. So I was just trying to trace to see the images, whether it was a cat or whatever. So that was fun. And again, as a kid, I didn't do any of that stuff. Our schooling was quite different back in Romania. And we were always very busy with lots of homework and stuff. So this was actually, I just realized, oh, this is fun. This is interesting. And then Susan suggested that maybe we can just try to, whoever would like to try to see if they would like to draw. And I started tracing. So first I started tracing, it's a bit hard to see here. It ended up being the pictures, my contribution to the cookbook. And then I thought, okay, maybe I can do some coloring. And that was actually part of my, again, just for folks that had strokes, it was a very interesting process, again, to just try to color. I would draw maybe for 5 minutes and I'd have to put the pen down because it was too hard. So you can see that I would do a little square and then it disappeared, and then I couldn't use it for maybe a couple of days, and then I tried again. And after a few months, I started to, maybe 2 months later, I was actually able to do more and more color. And then I thought, well, I actually really enjoyed this. So this was not, geometric was not something that was very, very fun for me. So I started with, my goal was to be able to go back to work. Typing was okay because I typed very fast with my book. I used to do it with both hands. And I really wanted to write. I felt that I would lose a lot of my identity if I couldn't write. But I have a really good friend that is a Montessori teacher, and she had some ideas, and she suggested that I can try using just cursive writing. And she gave me a few pages, and then you can find them online quite easily. I didn't have anything else to do than do therapy. So, and then I started gradually putting, let's see, some words together. And I had to write very slow, and I had to discover that I need to use a fountain pen, because after a stroke, it's very hard. Your hand can be very weak, and I couldn't actually hold a pen. I couldn't hold a ball pen. It was, nothing would come out. It was just too difficult for me. So I started to use a fountain pen. And that's just one of those, that's how I started the tracing, because if you use a fountain pen it's actually easier. On to coloring with just crayons. So just regular crayons for, again, folks that might get something that might interest them and make it a bit easier. So just regular crayons. That's why the drawings, and I think I made 6 or 7 of them, I can't remember. And I knew they would be black and white, but I thought it would be a good practice for me. So I used my drawings all using my right hand. I did not use my left hand at all, because by that time, just for fun, I was using my left hand quite easily. But
one of the most difficult things that I do is cursive writing, joining one letter to another. I mean, one of the toughest things I do of all is writing a check, which means just signing my name and connecting all the letters together like I used to do like nothing. But having had the stroke, which was back in 2012, I was in hospital for about a week and came home, and I thought, well, I wonder if I can still play the piano. And I sat down at the piano, opened the lid, and looked at the keys, the black and the white, and I thought, I have no idea what this thing is. It had gone forever. But then I rested my hands on the keys, and I found a chord somehow that I'd remembered from a long time ago, and played it. Actually, it was a C7th, but mostly I played classical stuff. But and I resolved that to F, which was fine, which is the way that they work. And suddenly, oh, sure, this is a piano, and I played a G minor scale, went up and down the piano really quickly, and I realized that everything had returned again. So I still play the piano all the time. Actually, I play with our stroke club and provide incidental music for whatever we're doing there. So as for the art, I do a bit of cartooning, which is for the local paper from time to time, and yeah, I mean, I forget what I put in there, but I think I've got 2 or 3, Susan, somewhere around. But you had to do it. I have my own recipe book. I've been a food writer for about the last 30 years. Find one that's really good. Well, I just included my own recipe and put it in a 3-ring binder, and yeah.
Really recommend the Zesty Lemon and Vanilla Chia Pudding Cups. One of our members, Rick, contributed. He and his wife like to make it, and it's a really healthy dessert. And Dawn's pastry recipe is in here. If you are in the mood to make pie, it is one of the easiest to follow and really pleasing results pastry recipes I've ever used. So definitely recommend the pastry recipe. Recipe in here that we have to recommend to everybody, which is the simple wonton soup a la DSRS, which is kind of has a backstory. We have a Lunar New Year party at Delta Stroke Recovery, and every year we make a huge pot of wonton soup, and it's kind of just a conglomeration of several recipes. Try to make it really high in vegetables and low in sodium, and every year it's a huge smash hit. Last year, our community police liaison even came and helped us make the soup and visited with everyone. So it's become a real tradition. So definitely recommend the wonton soup to anyone who wants to give it a go. It is not that difficult, especially if you buy the wontons frozen.
I think I was nervous at the beginning. I thought, oh, maybe they won't be liked. But then I got relaxed and I just went with it. And I actually really enjoyed coming together with just after the cookbook was delivered, and after we were able to get together with some of the members as well. We saw some of the members, and it was very nice again to see that everybody was holding the book and everybody was excited that they wanted to try something out. So that was a great opportunity, and for me, it felt good to feel like it is part of it. I was delivering the cookbooks to my friends. Some of my friends discovered they recognized the names of people that they knew from Tuasen, Ladner, and from Kudelta, and they actually connected with one another. And then they talked about recipes, and they were able to have some chats, and they went for coffees. So it's very interesting how community gets together. Definitely, I would like to submit some Romanian recipes for a next edition.
Absolutely, got to do another one. You can get started, Susan. All you do is just say, ready, set, go, and away we go.
We'll do a sequel. Okay, I like it. So if you'd like to get a copy of the cookbook, then the easiest way is to go to canadahelps.org and search for Delta Stroke Recovery. That will take you to our own charitable page there. You can go to the Donate Now area, enter $20 as your donated amount, and then where it says send a message, just put cookbook and your name and mailing address. And that's the way that we'll make sure that we get a copy of the cookbook to you. And whatever donations do come in, we will then be donating back towards the Art After Stroke event. So it'll go to serving recovery programs all over British Columbia, which is just amazing. So thank you.